Joining me today is accomplished documentary film director and editor Susanne Rostock. Suzanne is joining me to talk about her film Following Harry. Welcome, Suzanne.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here.
Yes, and your film premiered at the Santa Barbara International Film Festival recently. And what was the feedback like?
It was very exciting. It's such a big and eclectic festival, and uh, I didn't know what to expect. You never know what to expect because you never know how any audience is going to respond, and it was received with such open arms and such a beautiful response from a multi-generational, multiracial audience, which is what I was hoping for. So I was thrilled.
Yes, and it also premiered at the Tribeca World Premiere in 2014, right? And that must have been amazing as well. So,
But it premiered this past summer
yes, that's
at
wonderful.
Tribeca. Yeah.
That's
And
wonderful.
it was part of a very special evening, a tribute to Harry Belafonte.
Oh,
And they were giving Tribeca was honoring Harry, which they had done for the last three. This is probably the fourth award they've given out, fourth year that they were giving an award for social justice in Harry's name. And
mhm.
so what they decided to do this past year was to give an award to seven of the people in my film, and Angela Davis was giving out the award. So it was such a heady experience, really. And I was so glad that the people in my film could be honored because for those of you who have not seen Following Harry, I hope you will. When you have a chance to see it, you'll see how remarkable the people in the film are and how much hope they give you for the future. They've been working so hard to make sure we're safe.
Yes, and it has like it should be in libraries, like it's historical. I've watched the documentary and it, it is so deep and so necessary, and it's going back, the historical events, the school shootings, just it just makes you really to become more aware and educated. So I think, everyone should see this film.
Well, thank you for feeling that way. Of course, I couldn't agree more.
Hmm.
And we're planning a big outreach for the film. I'm hoping to get it in every high school, middle school, and college across the
Oh,
country,
wow.
and community centers and churches and synagogues. We're trying to really do a big outreach with the film because what I've discovered in all the 50 years that I've been making documentaries, and so many of my documentaries deal with social justice and the arts and the intersection of the two, is that with each generation, we seem to try to reinvent the wheel instead of build on what's come before.
Mhm.
And Harry was such a great guide to bring us from the past into the present and future because the arc of his history is so enormous, and he was so important in the civil rights movement and learned so much from that experience. So what he has to share is invaluable about how we should just live together, to be human together, to recognize our common humanity. And
Yes, yes.
as he says in the film at one point, all we want to really do is enjoy the universe. That's all we want to do is enjoy the universe. And it's oppression that gets in the way, and it's only love that can drive oppression to oblivion. And that's
Yes.
really the
Mhm.
core of it all.
And how did you meet Harry? Like, how did this come about, if I may?
I'll try to do the short version of that.
Yes.
uh, well, a number of years ago, I made a film about Harry Belafonte called Sing Your Song, and Harry had come to me about that film, to make that film. And I didn't know him. The producer of that film, Michael Cole, is someone I had worked with extensively, and so Michael made the introduction, and that's a long story in the film in itself. But when when I finished Sing Your Song in 2011, and it was shortlisted for an Oscar and opened Sundance, and did all those things that you hope a film would do. Harry was moving into a new office, and he asked me if I would join him. Oh. He said, "I'm going to have this gigantic space, and I will have built myself one small office at one end of this big space, and I'll build you the identical office at the other end, and we can meet in the middle." And so you don't say no to Harry Belafonte. So I said, "Well, sure." And I didn't know what to expect, but I thought this is a life-changing experience and an honor and an opportunity. But I didn't really imagine how enormous that opportunity was. And so at the end of each day, almost each day, Harry would come into my side of the office and sit down, and he would sort of go over his day. I would go over my day. He would tell a few jokes. He was a great joke teller. Not all of them were clean, but they were always funny. And he would, and then a lot of times he would just lament about the state of the world, about his own aging. He would say so often, "I'm running out of time, and there's so much more work to be done, and I don't know what to do, but I'm going to figure that out." And so at the end of my first film, Sing Your Song, Harry says, "What do you do now?" Mm. And I had always thought I would want to answer that question, but I wasn't sure how. And it wasn't until the death of the murder, really, of Trayvon Martin, that it became very clear what I was going to do, because Harry hit the ground running, and he just decided to actively re-engage and seek out young people and artists and figure out how we could stop what was, he could see what was happening, not only the murder of black children, but just the whole turn to hate that the country was taking. That was back in 2011.
Well, it's not long ago.
I just kept on filming until he passed away, really.
Yeah. Suzanne, thank you for sharing to us the audience. And Following Harry, I like the title. Was that the title that came to mind, or was there other titles?
I never had another title. That was my working title, because I said to him, I'm going to follow you, and I'm concerned about what follows after. What happens when you're not here? What follows Harry? And so then I thought, following Harry, it has that double meaning, that I'm following him, and then it gives you a glimpse. And now, of course, you can see what happens after Harry. Harry has left the planet, but his spirit is here, and his message and his teachings. You can see the effect that he had on so many people, and what came out of all of that.
Right. Yes, and it's the passing it on to the younger generation, passing the baton, and and this is it's timely too. Like, it's just was there anything surprising while making the documentary, Suzanne?
Well, excuse me, because I was, I don't want to say I was a fly on the wall. I was more like I had a chair in the room. I was in the middle of it. So what was surprising was every day was surprising, because the world was moving so fast in such a bad direction. And, the Women's March was created in our office. That's not something I could have ever predicted. I could have never anticipated that or prepared for that. But the Women's March was created. When Ferguson happened, there was such an exchange between the activists in Ferguson and Harry, and activists up here in New York. We're based in New York City. And there was just the long reach of Harry's message. And so every I would say that everything in the film is a surprise to me. I try to be a step ahead of things, but
Yes.
it wasn't possible. But I try to at least be there to capture. And it's it's so there's such an intimacy in the film. I don't know if you felt that, but it's not just the intimacy between Harry and his trust that he had with me, but everyone he met, he just embraced, physically embraced, took them. You can see in the film close to his heart. He would hold them tight, and
Yes.
when you think of the so many stories that are in the film, and
Yes.
how the reach, it's such a wide reach, and it was all a surprise to me.
Yes. And like in the film, like for how did you pick the cast? Like, Jesse Williams, like how did that happen?
Well, it was very easy to pick the cast because the cast picked us.
Mm.
Harry's office was an open door. And so I never knew who I was going to meet when I came in the day. I remember once coming in, and I walked past Harry's part of the office, his little chamber there, and walked across the long stretch over to my room, and I thought, that person sitting in Harry's office looks so familiar.
Yeah.
It kind of looked like Bruce Springsteen, but kind of. And then, about 15 minutes later, there's a knock on my little door, and it's Bruce Springsteen. So you never knew. So Jesse Williams was somebody who dropped by, and Carmen Perez with the Gathering for Justice actually moved into the office as well and shared the space because Harry started the Gathering for Justice, I think in 2007, and Carmen was made the head of it and came from California to New York to run the Gathering, and so she became part of the office, and so she brought in so many people. It was just a wonderful gathering place, and so everyone really who is in the film has passed through the doors. In the case, though, I did film in Sing Sing, and not everyone in prison passed through the doors, but Harry passed through their doors, and he would go to Sing Sing. Has a great program. Hudson Link it's called, and it's an educational program where the incarcerated men can even get a PhD. It's serious studying, and Harry would attend all the graduations.
Oh.
And each year he brought Whoopi Goldberg and Usher and Julian Bond, different people from different walks of life to come and speak at the graduation. So that's how I got that cast of characters with following Harry.
Yes. This should be a book about, the documentary into a book. I don't
I couldn't agree more. I don't know. Somebody has to come and write it because I'm too busy, but I can certainly guide them.
Yes. I mean, it moved me, the documentary, and it really learned, like I said at the beginning, it's history lesson and all, like get it in schools. And I am just so grateful and honored to speak with you. And I would like to ask you, what do you want people to take away from the film? Like, what is the message? To use your power, to use your if you're an entertainer, use your voice.
Use your voice. That we all have the power to make change, and you don't have to do it in a big way. There's something you can change just in your neighborhood, on your block. But I think community is so important, and that we have to come together because we're stronger together.
Yes.
And we have to listen to each other. And I know the big question always is, well, how do you reach across the divide? How do you get to people who don't believe the same thing you believe in? And it takes time. It's a difficult commitment to make, but we have to listen to each other. And I think truth truth is very important. And James Madison, way back when America was first created, said that knowledge is the greatest weapon to fight ignorance,
Mm.
and ignorance is the enemy. And I'm just paraphrasing, but knowledge is so essential. And I think a lot of the misconceptions that are being voiced by people that we don't, we being me, don't necessarily agree with, because they're lacking the knowledge. And it's not to say people are stupid. That's not. It's very different. They don't have access to the knowledge. And I think if people understood what was really happening, how it was really affecting them, how it was affecting their neighbors or the people on the other side of the track or whatever, that you know, people are not born evil. We're born innocent, and we have to go back to that place of, as Harry said, of recognizing our common humanity, and you have to travel through life with compassion and understanding, and that's all blah blah blah, but it's also truth, and
Yes.
it's we have to find our way back to that.
Yes.
We're so far away from that now.
Well, it's
Terrifying.
yes. And Suzanne, is there anything you like to add that I didn't ask you? Like to see the film, like
Uh,
where?
well, what I want to add is that Following Harry has a website, and if you go to the website, there are different organizations, and we keep on adding places, because I think that the big question is what do I do now?
Mm.
Everybody says, people. I know the instinct is to hide and hope it blows over, but there's so many things that can be done and that can be so meaningful, and where do you find the answer to that? And so, we've created a website that, as I said, we keep on building upon, hoping to help people find the answer. As you said, use your own power, use your voice, uh, feel with your heart, and there's always something you can do. Don't hide. Don't ignore what's going on. Care about your neighbors. We have to care about each other.
Yes.
So I think we have covered that, but I can't cover it enough. And so it's following Harry.org. Very easy to get to.
Yes. And Suzanne, it was such a pleasure speaking with you today. And I would love for you to come back. And yes, I could talk to you all day, actually,
But well, thank you. Thank you so much for wanting to speak to me, and for highlighting the film, because it's so important for people out there in your position to bring attention to this film, because this film brings attention to so many issues, and it's not self-serving. It was made with love for the people. It was made to be out there, to be seen, and these days, not to get into the whole problem of how difficult it is to be a documentary filmmaker, but it's so hard to get your films shown now, because people are afraid of films that, and I consider my film very entertaining in parts. There's even humor in it, but it's not pure with quotes, entertainment. And so streamers are afraid to pick up a film like this, and they shouldn't be, because there's a big audience for it. So I think we have to speak out and ask to see, because there are many wonderful films that can just elevate you,
Yes.
and give you hope, and put
Yes.
it, a beam of light in the darkness. Everybody's talking about how we're in the darkness now, and we need those beams of light.
Yes.
So thank you for being a facilitator, being a flashlight.
Well, thank you for your kind words, Suzanne, but you're an inspiration and you're a role model. And
Oh,
like I said, I'd love to have you back. And
well, thank you.
yes.
You asked such good questions, so I thank you.
Oh,
for the thoughtful and good questions.
well, thank you.
Thank you, and for liking following Harry. I
Yes, and
thank you from my heart. Thank you.
thank you. Okay, I'll talk to you in the near future again. Thank you, Suzanne.
I look forward to that, Christine.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.